Hello, everyone, and welcome to Industry Headlines. Kevin Kaufman and Fred Weaver, where we look back at roughly the last 7 days and talk about what's happening in the real estate and mortgage news. So let's go over the headlines for you, and then we'll jump in. Blackstone Financial has cashed out their investment that they had in Invitation Homes. That leads our stories for today. Also, Keller Williams profit share changes coming soon, up for a vote very quickly. We'll share those with you. And crowdfunder Nico aims to cut locals in on their gentrification returns. We'll have to define gentrification because I needed a definition earlier as well. So Kevin, let's start from the top.
Yeah, Blackstone cashing out or cashing in, if you will, on Invitation Homes, selling off the remaining shares of this company that now owns, I forget how many thousands of single-family residential rentals, across the country. So that is a big deal because Blackstone's one of the biggest hedge funds in the world, and they pumped a lot of cash into Invitation Homes over the last decade or so as they began buying up single-family homes everywhere.
This really kind of goes back to probably 2011, 2012, right? Early part of this decade, where lots of foreclosures, lots of distressed properties. And this was sort of the genesis of these big companies, these funds, if you will, buying homes, Blackstone being a large amount of that money. So anyway, Blackstone eventually took Invitation Homes public in 2017, right? So they started it, and now they're selling off their interest in it. So it's interesting. Invitation Homes lives on, still buying homes today throughout the country. Just Blackstone is cashing out, or cashing in.
Blackstone made their money though. By the way, take a cue from these companies, right? So Blackstone made a big bet, started buying when I think a lot of other kind of normal, I'm gonna say normal people were still a little nervous because it was still so fresh from the downturn, if you will. It was almost hard to believe that things were going back the other way. And here they are cashing in, cashing out, whatever you want to call it, with their last 1.7 billion with a B worth of returns.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's real big.
So next up in industry headlines is a story that originated, I believe, back in July of 2018. Gary Keller took the stage at Inman Connect and essentially got pissed off for people that had founded and started other companies, namely EXP, for continuing to receive their profit share. So he made statements at that Inman Connect back in July of 2018 about how some of the founders that they created such a better company than him should give their money back. And it sort of started this conversation about, should people be allowed to leave KW, start other companies, and keep receiving their profit share? That's how the system was built. But now here we are, and unofficially, Kevin,
still unofficially, voted in.
The company is pushing for the next IALC, that's their International Agent Leadership Council, to vote to change the vesting period on profit share from 3 years to 7 years.
Yeah.
And I think there's another change as well.
Yeah. So the other thing would be is if you leave and go to a competitor, you no longer get to keep it. And that might sound like kind of a no duh, but that was a big deal. Something that Keller stood on for decades, in fact, is that, hey, no, it's okay. If you help us build, then you help us build, and you deserve the right to retain those earnings through profit share. And they're going to go ahead and change that now. So not only from 3 to 7 years. What's funny though, and I didn't share this with you earlier, but I was thinking back, I know that there was a point in time, probably when Mo Anderson was still a little more involved in the company, where she wanted to move the vesting from 3 years to 5 years, and it was voted down. My guess is that the IALC will absolutely push this through. We all know how those votes typically go. And so this will probably become official in February after a family reunion or during family reunion 2020 for Keller Williams. So listen, personally, I feel like they had to do this. This was a smart move. Well, it's long overdue. It's just different than what they used to do. And I know it's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. And that's okay.
I don't know. I don't have a problem with you changing rules, but unofficially, just so we're clear, this is a change going forward. So this is not a retroactive change. When there was some articles written many months ago about changes, there was people that were like, well, they can't change. They can't take my money from me. You're right. I don't think they can.
Now that would cause
I think there'd be some class action lawsuits or a class action lawsuit on your hands there. So anyway, all unofficial. We'll see how this plays out, but I just think it's some big changes going on. And then let's go with the last one.
Yeah, so crowdfunder Nico aims to cut locals in on gentrification returns. I'll be honest, I didn't know that word either until we started hanging out with Leo Sanchez more.
Oh, okay.
And so essentially that is gentrification. I'm probably gonna even butcher this, but my layman's understanding of it is that, hey, it's a neighborhood where it's been run down. It kind of gets repurposed, rebuilt back up. We've seen a lot of that here in the Phoenix area. It happens inside of a lot of inner cities, if you will.
Gentrifying neighborhoods, I've heard them called.
Yes, that's it. So the gentrification process would bring them to be gentrified.
Yeah. So, but what's interesting here is that you have a company that is raising money, if you will, crowdfunding, right? That then is going to cut locals back into those returns. So it's like getting the people in these areas back involved in rehabilitating the neighborhood versus somebody from the outside coming in and essentially saying like, we're taking your neighborhood from you and making it better, and now you can't afford to live here or whatever. Like, which I'm sure is some of the feeling that goes on in some of these projects.
Absolutely.
Like, maybe I'm making that up.
No,
that's my sense of what's going on.
So like you go to like downtown Phoenix as an example, since we're in the Phoenix area and we love referrals, by the way. So you take the downtown Phoenix area where there's been a ton of gentrification projects going on, and it's expensive as hell now to buy a condo or an apartment down there, or whatever the case is. There's some really nice buildings, and the price is that way for a reason. It should be, but what happens is the developers win big in that. And not as much everyone else. So this is really giving the chance to the people in the neighborhood, the people in the community that want to have a say so, to be able to like buy into these types of deals, to have a say so, if you will, in your own community.
It's newsworthy because at some level, if this works, this model could be used amongst other municipalities and governments, right, to make these projects go faster. Because you better believe there's lots of these on the list of every small city, town, county, whatever it may be, state, where they're like, we would love to turn that around, but how do we do that, right? So this could be a new model for doing that. It'll be interesting to watch.
These guys could be bringing the new model for exactly for that. And I believe so. Nico's the name of the company, NICO, if you want to look them up. They're expecting to launch a fund in LA, the neighborhood called Echo Park, in early 2020. So I think that's going to be kind of cool and interesting. It's going to initially own 3 rent stabilized multifamily buildings in the neighborhood, but obviously they'll look to do more over time.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us for Industry Headlines.